Hi, my name is Ariel Jenkins.
And I'm Maddie Duplessis.
And we are doing the Unit 3 Isolation of Copper lab.
So, for the purpose of this lab, you have to isolate the copper, and this is the lab to do that. Some of the goals for this lab is to, of course, isolate the copper, and this is one of the parts of the whole entire lab. And before and after each step, you have to make qualitative observations, because this will help you in the long run when it comes to making your lab write-up.
Yeah.
And it'll just help you there. So.
Some of the safety issues you need to worry about is to always wear goggles because we're working with hazardous materials. Never touch anything that's hot because we will be using hot stuff. Don't taste or touch any of the chemicals because it can burn and hurt you. Yeah. The materials we'll be using is a test tube with copper nitrate in it, a graduated cylinder, sodium hydroxide, a beaker of hot water, a hot plate, aluminum foil, sulfuric acid, and last but not least, a sink. Yep. For this lab, we have a very short lab setup. Basically, the first thing you need to do is make sure you have your goggles on. Not on the back of your head, not on your forehead. Make sure your goggles are on your eyes.
Not on your neck.
Yeah.
So basically, for this lab setup, before we do anything, after the goggles, you are going to turn on your hot plate. Alright? And when you have that hot plate turned on, you are going to take the beaker full of water and set it onto the hot plate.
And leave it there to heat up, and that is your lab setup.
Yes.
Aside from having all your materials ready. Before you start doing anything, make sure you take your test tube and write you and your partner's name on there with Sharpie or whatever you want to use. That way it doesn't wipe off. That way you can stay there for over the weekend.
Alright, so now we are going to do a quick overview of the procedure. We are not going to go in detail about the procedure because
you already have that.
Yeah, you should have printed the procedure out in writing so you guys can read it while you're doing the actual lab.
One of the first things you do is take your test tube with your 5 milliliters of copper nitrate and you mix that with your sodium hydroxide, 5 milliliters of sodium hydroxide. You mix that all together.
Swirl it.
Make sure you take qualitative observations every time you do a new step.
And if you notice, what color is the copper nitrate? What is it? Blue? Okay. See, we just gave you a hint.
That's a very important hint. Okay. Yep. You take that, and once they're mixed together, you are going to put that solution on your hot plate in the hot water. In the hot plate.
Yes.
And you're going to leave it there and let it heat up. And you know it's halfway done when the color starts changing to like a greenish, muddy, blackish color. You know you're halfway done. And then you know you are completely done when there are two separate solutions in your test tube. It'll be dark and colorless. That's when you know it's time to take it out. You'll take your test tube out from the water then.
But when you take the test tube out, don't take it out by your hand because that will burn you.
Yeah, make sure you use tongs.
Yes.
Yeah. Take that out and you take it over to your magical sink. Very important. And decant the supernate off the top, which is the colorless part.
And you are going to pour it into the magical sink.
Yeah, that's where it goes. And then whatever is left over in your test tube, you are going to add sulfuric acid to it. You should know how much after reading your procedure.
Sulfuric acid.
Mix that together. You will notice another pretty color change. You need to write down. And then
will figure that out.
You will take your aluminum foil and fold it accordion style.
For those of you who do not know what accordion style is, you are going to fold it like
Back and forth.
Back and forth, back and forth.
So it looks like an accordion.
So it looks like an accordion. Here's the side view. And you are going to stuff it into your test tube of your new liquid.
Yep.
And you're going to stuff it. Make sure it's at the bottom, though. And it should be taller than your test tube so it can be sticking out.
Yep. And make sure it's not, like, jammed in there. Make sure it, like, fits perfectly in there.
Like, it sets nicely.
And then you're going to leave that there over the weekend. And when you come back, you're going to take some observations. And that's that.
And that is the isolation of copper. So, for the expected observations, we expect you to write down before and after each step what you see. So, that would be the type of different reactions you see happening and the different color changes, the different colors in the beginning of each solution. Remember that sodium hydroxide and sulfuric acid are both colorless. They are not clear. Clear is not a color. And that copper nitrate is blue. So just write down the reactions and the color changes and
you'll be good. Common errors people make is skipping a step or leaving out a solution, which makes your product turn out weird and it can burn, and especially when you put it into the hot plate with the hot water, it'll look weird. So you just have to make sure you remember to do each of the steps, follow each of them.
Read the instructions carefully.
Yep.
Because then you'll find out the end result. And basically for the possible result, there's only one. And that is after the weekend and it's all reacted.
Yep. You will see a very cool reaction when you come back.
Yes.
You're not expecting it at all.
There should be little pieces and bits of copper at the bottom of the test tube. And if you don't have those, then something has
went wrong, and you just gotta do the lab over and make sure you follow each step accordingly. Alright, last but not least is cleanup.
In order to get dismissed to your next class or lunch, you are going to have to properly clean up your station. So that means you are, after the reaction is complete, you're just going to dump it down the drain into the sink, magical sink.
Yep.
The sink of wonder.
And you can just take your aluminum foil out, pull it out, and just throw it in the trash can. You don't need it.
When you wash out the test tubes, you're going to wash them out. They may need soap, so if there's stuff left behind after you just rinse it out, then do it again
just
and put soap in it.
Yep, and then make sure you put everything away that you were using back to where you got it, and if you spilled anything,
clean it up.
But
that should be done on the first day.
Yep. And then you can just throw your goggles back into the bin, and you are done.
Preferably place the goggles nicely back into the bin.
Don't really
Throwing would be bad.
Yeah. And that's the isolation of copper lap, and you are done.
And you will be complete and ready to go.
Yeah. Okay, bye.